Ladies and gentlemen, this show, The Legendary Hero is Dead, is the exact spitting image of the plot and the plot. The plot being, of course, eye candy's fan service that people will tune into anime and select series for, with the other plot being, of course, narrative and character-driven reasons. And this show is the best blend of that in recent memory, because damn if this show doesn't have one degenerate AF MC. I mean, a man who literally didn't have mana for most of the show so far finally gets healed up. He's in his healed body. First thing he does with his Excalibur is he turns a sword into a giant thigh that's wearing stockings in order to bonk a demon on the head. If that isn't just the best representation of Toka that I've seen in the show, I don't know what is. We ended the previous episode with a princess talking about how, you gotta do princessly things. Not once but twice did she attempt to give our boy a golden moment in order to restore his mana. Of course, tears ended up being what came in clutch, but damn if she didn't commit to it. This show is degenerate as hell, but if the story and characters aren't also pretty damn solid, I mean, seriously, like, they're getting into some more interesting character territory, especially with Yuna, who's been mostly a character that has been stripped down to sell different models of figures. At this point, it seems like now that she's bitten and has become more of a zombified waifu, I mean, if they end up saving her, which seems rather likely, I mean, yeah, we could have some interesting characterization there, but overall, like, this show, like, the concept of a legendary hero saving the world, but having a perverted MC like this, it just creates an interesting twist on what the normal plot of a show like this would be, while just being pure degenerate humor and eye candy, and I'm loving it. Full live reaction to this very entertaining episode, available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts as I watch. They didn't end up doing a golden shower, but I honestly admit, like, the first time they averted doing it, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But when she strapped in for a second time, I was like, damn, she's actually gonna commit to it. And this would have been like a golden opportunity, no pun intended, in order to, a lot of these shows, think of like Blue Lock or any of these shows that have like that little kind of a goofy after the credits gag. Imagine a moment where, like, you don't see it, but just, like, they kind of chibiify the character models and it's just implied that she did it. I think that would have been rather funny as, like, a little short. But overall, does it make sense that she cried and said, of course. But, I mean, I was saying it last week. I mean, any bodily fluid would have done. You could have literally given saliva, but hey, I mean, it's hilarious seeing a princess talk about how, this isn't a very princessly thing to do. Hell, even Toka himself was saying it, but man, did she strap in not once but twice. And honestly, for a harem in a show like this, it's actually surprisingly entertaining. Now, Henri, of course, is a part of it, but she's a kid, all things considered. She looks like one. I'm kind of pushing her aside in terms of what this is, so I'm more looking at it as a love triangle right now. So when you have a princess and Yuna, so you have the childhood friend and then you have the royal beauty, right? Obviously, someone like Yuna is pretty much saying, oh, it's just an annoying little brother, but we can tell, like, obviously she's a part of the harem, all things considered. And she's been more of the fan servicey character that has had the least amount of focus outside of being stripped down. So honestly, I'm quite happy that seemingly she's getting some importance now, and obviously if she survives, which like I said is highly likely, but I'm always up to the possibility of a dark twist. Her be more character focused, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that she still is pretty much naked. I like the fact that they are giving character moments like these. And I like the fact that for a princess who I really thought was just going to be like a one and done side character, maybe we'd come back to the capital someday, I love how they managed to make her a compelling love interest, but also just have her be her own character. I mean, she is a little clueless when it comes to, well, she could have given saliva, but hey, you know what, power to her, she was ready to take one for the team, though might have been a kink of hers, who knows with a show like this. I like the fact that they have probably one of the funniest reunion moments, so I honestly thought it was our boy imagining it, so she ends up sneaking into the cart that she ends up giving. It's mana infused, so obviously only Henri will be able to wield it, given everyone else has no mana. So she's willing to like pop up, say, hey, I'm here, I'm actually, this was a body double that waved to you, and they're basically talking like, yeah, there's no way she would do that. And she had to stand there for days. They found her almost starved. Like, that's so, it's like you just feel the secondhand embarrassment, because she was thinking, oh yeah, he'll come in, he'll be so happy. Turns out he's like, nah, she wouldn't do that. And just the fact that she didn't have the nerve to come out after she realized, I mean, that's just such an amazing reunion scene. And I think for an episode like this, I mean, it has like a level of degenerate humor. I mean, not many characters can say their Excalibur of choice is a giant thigh-wearing stocking mallet, but damn if it wasn't effective at bonking that devil. And, you have obviously the flirtatiousness. I mean, They give you side boob, they give you ass. I mean, the only thing they cover is nipple in this episode. They gave you pretty much everything you'd want to see in terms of a fan servicey scene, yet they also are progressing someone like Toka into actually becoming a hero sort of an ideal. Like the whole princess saying like, hey, you know, once I save the world, I'll go back to my body, I won't be a legendary hero. And she's like, what are you talking about? Once you save the world, you will be a legendary hero of your own making. I love the fact that they're keeping someone like Toka, they're kind of balancing and walking that fine line of looking at him as a scumbag, such as literally being Peeping Tom at the bath, to also feeling like he's building into his own version of a legendary hero. And it's honestly a little weird. I mean, obviously I know he can be a person if he was healed, and now that he is, looking at him as a normal human rather than the perverted skeleton I've gotten accustomed to, it's going to take some adjusting, but at the very least, I mean, it's nice to see that he'll, at the very least, now be able to try to be a normal hero, not smell like a rotting corpse, but then again, the fact that our princess, because she had a good cry after 10 years of penting up all these emotions, seemingly her tears and other fluids won't be able to heal him, though there are those, like, rich potions that also can do the trick, so at the same time, I mean, there is options, especially if he proves himself as a hero, he can make some mad bank, but I guess we'll see where they take him. Overall, though, this was fun. I mean, we end up resolving the first bit of conflict in terms of this perverted bone dude who's now pretty much locked up in a prison. He's pretty much lost his marbles, and now they're establishing the true person pulling the strings, as he turns out to be just a small piece of the puzzle. What was interesting is seemingly the person who was actually behind it, in terms of one of the people, looks almost identical to Henri in terms of this necromancer. Same runny nose, same similar hair design, you'd almost swear they're siblings, but it would be interesting to see what that means in terms of going forward, because, I mean, Henri almost got kidnapped in terms of basically the devil is like, hey, you look like one of us, so I'm going to take you with us, and she seemed rather shocked by that, so it'll be interesting to see how many more maybe devils will look at her not as a human, but more so as something similar to them, which clearly will be a big character motivation for a character like her. Is she human? Is she more of a devil? Obviously, we know where our characters will try to persuade her, but obviously that could cause some conflict internally. But the cliffhanger definitely was effective in terms of biting her, turning her, or starting to turn her into a zombified waifu, as some guard comes down to save the day, and in a very comedic fashion, I was like, okay, last time someone tried to be impressive, they casually got killed. He did get the job done, but he also looked like he sprained his ankle, so I'm not sure how effective he'll be as well, but I guess we'll see. Either way, I think this show is definitely the definition of the plot meets the plot. No one can deny it is degenerate as hell, no one can deny that it is full of eye candy, but I actually think the twist of a legendary hero story turned degenerate like this is actually pretty damn refreshing, and as someone who likes the more generic and someone who likes the shows that twist the formula on its head, this is kind of like a nice middle ground if you ask me, just with a more perverted sense of humor. But thoughts, feels yourself down below. What did you think of the episode overall? Drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Also, be sure to ring that bell, of course, so you can get notified when I upload on the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction available on my Patreon, as well. I give video shoutouts and other perks like that if you're interested. So, until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.